Listen, I'm willing to pay taxes. Only if Donald Trump decides to set up a live stream when he's doing this.
You're fired. 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 You're fired.
Yes, please, and more, as already the larger impacts of Donald Trump going after the bureaucratic swamp deep state is very eye-opening and so pleasing and amazing and beautiful to see, as already entire housing markets are being obliterated because of his major moves, as he is planning on even bigger moves that are going to really piss off the liberals and the establishment. As already, I gotta say here, listen, whatever you might say about their personal lives, baby mama drama, I do not care. Because Trump and Musk have already fired thousands of U.S. government bureaucrats. Yes, please, and more. They have already done this in many different ways. They give out severance packages, which I think is too kind. I think it's way too nice of a scenario and situation that's unfolding right now. As of course, they should have a week where they go to the federal bureaucracy and look, guys, if you guys are involved in fraud, waste, and abuse or any kind of corruption, come forward right now, and we will be extremely lenient on you if we ever are going to even criminally prosecute you. That's step one of what I think should be done here. Step two is, oh, you're involved in corruption. You didn't even admit it. Fired. Maybe even some criminal charges. And then I think we could weed out people who actually are good workers, honest people who actually did work for the government. Rare anomaly. Morally unethical people with moral framework that's really messed up and totally not perceived on the basic reality of what's actually happening in this world. Excuse me, I'm diverse. But if there are some miraculous angels out there that were good people, that are hardworking people, yeah, absolutely, give them a severance, take care of them, and let's find a place for the good people in positions of power and also help them out. Which I think is great, especially with some kind of larger initiatives to help American manufacturing. I think that's the way forward here, because clearly the old system that we are under is a broken, corrupted system where a lot of people were just taking everything for themselves. It was like the Titanic is shipping, and these people are just trying to get all the silverware that they could, as the misidentified people with the cutoff, we're trying to get on the lifeboats first. Obviously, that was the priority of the previous administration, as this administration is already cutting back so much, as staff at the CDC and NIH are reeling, as a lot of their wasteful spending is now finally being recalled, and the people who are not supposed to be there, they're just being fired. Nearly 10,000 people fired already, as a lot of people in the corporate media are calling this a purge. Good. A system that is sick, a system that is rotten, deserves to be purged, as the layoffs are accelerating and more cuts are to come. Yes, please, more, please, let's go. The Washington, D.C. housing market has already plummeted because of all these major layoffs, and there's more coming. A lot of people are calling this a bloodbath. Yes, as this is now happening in D.C., as the price of real estate is going down since there's a lot of it available. Washington, D.C., by the way, per capita, more sociopaths there than anywhere else in the United States. That's not a coincidence there. And a lot of people who had it far too long, that were living off of the government teeth, screwing over the American taxpayer, their days are done. As there's entire cities that, by the way, depend on federal handouts. How do we get to this place, as New Mexico's looking on in fear? How do we get to a place where entire cities, even some states, are predominantly dependent on government jobs? The government's, it's not in the industry of creating jobs. When you look at government, it creates and de-incentivizes job creation through their bureaucracy, through their taxes, through their regulation, through them being a middleman and stopping private enterprise and true capitalism from actually existing in our society. As of course, we don't have capitalism. We have socialism for the super rich, and everyone else was told to screw themselves. But now, with less government, now with more cuts here, and the great work that DOGE and Elon Musk are doing when it comes to cutting federal agencies, it's amazing. Business Insider released just what they were doing, specifically with the cuts to the National Aerodynamics and Space Administration, to the Department of Education, to the DEI initiatives, to the U.S. Agency for Internal Development, to the federal workforce, to the Federal Aviation Administration, to the Treasury Department, to the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, to the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, and more. This is only week 3, by the way. Next, in a couple days, it'll be week 4. I am flabbergasted, and I never thought this day and age would come. As of course, there's so much waste, there's so much fraud, and a lot of it is based in Medicare, Medicaid, in Social Security. Elon Musk is looking at it, and what is he discovering? He's discovering people as young as 150 years old are still somehow on the Social Security dime. Our system is outdated. It is old, as of course now Trump is set to make the moves that are even going to be far more pleasing, far more entertaining, far more awesome and amazing for the average American, as this truly, even according to the Daily Mail, is going to set ablaze rural America and make Democrats furious. Before getting into that, check out wearechange.shop. It's the one clear way to support us. We work with a lot of great companies, a lot of great industries, and we launch a lot of really cool stuff. The product that I'm most proud of is takecalm.com. It's 1,000 milligram full spectrum CBD. A lot of this stuff, they want us to retail this at $100+. You go to the stores, again, not all of the supplements and products are the same. There's a big difference, especially when it comes to quality, especially when it comes to effectiveness, especially when it comes to just the way that things are made. Lots of stuff is just made poorly, made cheaply, and it's made to, of course, just make a buck. That's not what I wanted to do with takecalm.com. This is some of the best stuff out there. I give it to my mom. I take it myself. I give it to my friends, especially when I know they're dealing with things like anxiety, panic attacks. And again, if you're dealing with that stuff, go to the gym, go for workouts. Make sure you go for long walks. Make sure you take care of your diet. Make sure you take care of your stress. Make sure you take care of your sleep. Don't rely on supplements to do everything for you, but supplements are a great additive to help you along the track road towards being the healthiest, most amazing version of yourself. I really, really like this stuff. TakeCalm.com is the website. When I had my struggles and battles with panic attacks and anxiety, this stuff, I did 2 years of research on this. I didn't just willy-nilly. It was like, oh, let's find that. I tested so many different products. They had gummies. They had different tinctures. They have different kind of formulations. They had different kind of synthetic stuff in them. Like, I don't want any of that. I want the best stuff on the market, and this is it, and it's at a reduced cost. A lot of this stuff is super expensive. This stuff is actually cheap compared for the quality that you guys are getting on takecalm.com, and by also getting it, you support your own independent media. You support this independent media organization, as I think Trump is going to cause a lot of liberals and Democrats to need some CBD in their lives, as they're about to have full-blown freakouts and panic attacks. The few mind-controlled individuals that truly need their help. Hey, a liberal will be like, hey, takecalm.com, guys. Relax, take it easy. It's not that bad. As Trump right now is promising to do one of the things that I think is the best thing, not yet, because already it's so many, but one of the best things yet, and that is of course allow people to have silencers, as the United States president is hinting at getting rid of legislation that stops American people and other foreigners from getting suppressors. Suppressors in the firearms industry are something that, to get now, you have to jump through a bunch of hoops. You have to pay a $200 tax stamp. You have to go through this process. And then the ATF and the government look at the stuff. They take forever. They scratch their butts. Sometimes they're efficient. But there's been other reports and other times of waits as long as months and years to get approved to have a kind of deafening device, in order not to highlight where your kind of fire is coming from, but also, more importantly, not to deafen your ears, so you don't need ear protection. For some reason, the ATF and other government regulatory agencies have said, no, that is an NFA item. You cannot have something that helps you prevent hearing loss. You can't have that. Why? What's the purpose? No explanation. You just can't have it. Donald Trump now will be unwinding this. As of course, he has also ordered Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, to look into all federal gun policies, specifically ones that are, quote, improperly restricting gun rights. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of ridiculous laws and rules and regulations about bump stocks, about barrel lengths that don't make any kind of legitimate difference when it comes to the larger kind of ramifications of it all. But it still creates a larger excuse for the government to come into your life to try to federal prosecute you, to try to arrest you, and try to put you in trouble because accidentally you didn't know about this stupid law where you can't have a 90-degree grip, but you could have a 30-degree grip. What? How? That's idiotic. And it looks like Donald Trump soon might be ending all restrictions on silencers, allowing the average American, who probably isn't a felon, because already people are like, we need background checks. You already have that. Like, you fill out a federal form and you have to call the government and they have to approve you to get a firearm in the United States. People, not really paying attention to what's really going on here. But now, finally, they will probably get rid of this nonsensical, idiotic rule that has been used to go after people and allow people to have silencers, which would mean essentially a lot more Americans being able to not have to deal with ear pro, not have to deal with these larger kind of concussive rounds, dealing. And again, suppressive is always something that I always kind of wanted, just because it just makes sense. I like, I really wanted one, but I'm like, I got to jump through the government hoops and allow them to like inspect me at any time that they want just to have this. That's ridiculous. So Trump ending this is definitely going to make a lot of Democrats mad and angry. Why are they going to be mad and angry? I don't know. They usually just are mad and angry. but there's no reason for them to be furious about this. Since, of course, this is not going to make any kind of difference, especially since a lot of legal law-abiding firearms owners are not responsible for the vast majority of gun crimes and the injuries that result in them. Lots of it has to involve with people hurting themselves, and specifically a lot of illegal activity amongst gangs inside of big American cities. Another thing that Donald Trump is even potentially hinting at doing that would really piss off the establishment is that he's also reportedly considering withdrawing the United States from NATO. Now, this latest Munich hearing with J.D. Vance delivering his speech, which Donald Trump was impressed by, the speech was pretty funny too, even though the members of the European Union didn't find it funny. The members of the European Union were kind of mad at J.D. Vance for kind of stating the obvious of what he was talking about, specifically when it comes to respecting free speech, respecting people's ability to politically disagree with you, which the European Union is very allergic to. He talked about NATO conducting their own kind of fair share of support for NATO, since the United States socializes and supports this larger kind of alliance network more than any other country out there. And now Trump is going to be in Saudi Arabia with Russia discussing what are we going to be doing with Iran? What are we going to be doing with Ukraine? What are we going to be doing with the nuclear arms? What are we going to be doing with Korea? And I wouldn't dismiss the likelihood of NATO membership being a bargaining chip that Donald Trump is kind of putting on the table, saying, look, you give us this, we'll withdraw from NATO. You give Ukraine security protection, we'll get out of NATO. I think that's something that could be a plausible deal that could be worked out here. Or with the way that a lot of these deals are kind of being worked out and negotiated, it could be, hey, we'll make sure Iran denuclearizes, but we'll get out of NATO. But Russia has to make sure that they denuclearize. Stuff like that, negotiations like that are happening right now, as a lot of people are now finally realizing, holy cow, we actually have a government that is actually paying attention, that is actually bargaining, that is actually negotiating, that is not just bending over and taking it up the wazoo. As the Democratic Party is in shambles, a lot of them are pissed off. The corporate media is just absolutely losing their minds, comparing free speech to the start of totalitarian governments for some reason. Yeah. That's not a fair assessment there, as corrupted FBI agents like Peter Strzok just deleted all of their posts on social media. So, yeah, TakeCalm.com is probably what a lot of these people are going to be needing in order to deal with their kind of wrecked nervous systems. As of course, they shouldn't be freaking out. They should be happy. I'm happy. If you're happy, share this video. I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on youtube.com/wearechange.